Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke Henson. I'm the course instructor for the medical terminology class for spring semester 2021. I have never done an a video welcome message before, so I'm trying something different than just having the regular announcements that you have to read that helps get you going with the this class. Usually we just expect you to read and to figure things out and maybe email if you have any questions. But so I'm going to try today. I'm going to go ahead and do this video welcome. I'm going to go through the syllabus. I'm going to go through the tabs on the left-hand side of the course page to kind of help you get familiar. So maybe it won't be as difficult for you to figure out some things. There are some tips, very important tips that I need to give you about discussion boards and things like Medical Language Lab. So hopefully I'll answer those on this video and you won't have to email me as many times. Email is the preferred method of contact for me, and I will show you how to do that inside the class. So my camera is on top of my screen, and I have some documents that I'm going to share with y'all on my other screen. So I'm going to be looking up, down, sideways, who knows. So just ignore me. It takes a minute to click around and get things to show like I need them to. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen and just bear with me for 1 second. Let's see what you can see. Oh my, okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. And I'm actually going over down the left-hand side in this course. I'm going to click on the first tab is the My Instructor tab. It has my information and a little bit about me, and you can see that email again is the preferred method of contact. Even during the on the weekends, I will log in at least usually once a day and check my emails if you're having difficulty. But usually, we meet Monday through Thursday, but I will check emails if you maybe need to shoot me an email about something. And I'll show you how to send an email from inside this class in just a few minutes. Every time you log into this Blackboard course, it's going to land you on this page, which is the announcement page. So when you first logged into the class, you saw this big announcement, and y'all do have a few things that you are required to do to stay in this class, and you can clearly see that 1 and 2 have to be done by 8 a.m. Monday the 18th. That is a holiday for the school, but you still need to have this done so that when I go in and check it on Tuesday, I hope you're still in the class and you haven't been removed because you did not do your pledge acknowledgement and your introduction and your COVID training. So make sure that you have those done by 8 o'clock Monday, January 18th. So I'd go ahead and do those and be done with that. Okay, we're going to talk about Medical Language Lab in a few minutes. And I do want to tell y'all, when you read this announcement, you need to make sure that you have your pop-up blockers turned off, and you need to use Chrome or Firefox. Those are the two browsers that work the best with Blackboard. So if you're using anything else, you may run into some problems. So anyway, you may want to download and get those going. Whenever I post a new announcement, it's going to show up on this page at the top, and I try to usually send you an email of the announcement. So when we get to the email part in a minute, you'll see why it's important to check your emails at least every Monday and Thursday. You need to be checking. It says you're going to check daily, but you definitely need to check at least Mondays and Thursdays. Okay, I'm going down the left-hand side of our course page, and I'm clicking on the Getting Started tab. And the Getting Started tab, you have a pledge acknowledgement requirement that you have to complete. So you would just click on the link and open that up. And this is the broad STC acknowledgement of policies and procedures. And then below that, it also, you're also stating that you're going to follow the syllabus for this course, okay? Another thing you need to do is complete a student introduction. This is considered a discussion board, but you do not have to make any replies. So you just need to put your little introduction out there about yourself. It doesn't have to be a book, just a paragraph or so. What program are you coming for? Just a little information so your classmates can read, and you'll be able to see their posts. You do not have to reply to anybody on the introduction. Okay. Let's see. COVID-19 training. That's the next tab down the left-hand side. You have a PowerPoint presentation that you're going to watch first. And then when you're done with that, you're going to complete the COVID-19 presentation acknowledgement. Basically, the biggest thing is if you're going to be on campus or in our buildings, there are some things that you have to know, like you have to wear a mask and other things that you need to know. So you need to complete the COVID-19 training. Okay. I'm going to come back to the syllabus and lesson plan in a few minutes. I'm going to go on down to instructions to set up medical language lab. Okay. The book, you have to have a book for this class. So the medical terminology book, you have to have it to be able to pass these tests and to be able to study. I know that a few people are having trouble with their financial aid. If it's a few days or maybe a week, I'll say a week because our book only has 13 chapters. Okay, that's plenty of time for us to cover it in a whole semester. The first chapter, chapter 1, we are actually going to cover that this week and next week. Okay, so if you have a little bit of delay getting your book because you ordered it from Amazon or your financial aid is processing, you've got a little bit of time that I can give an extension for chapter 1, but I can't give extensions for over like 2 and 3 in a month. So you're going to have to find a way to maybe somebody, you're going to know them in your class and maybe y'all can study together, or maybe you can borrow their book when they're done studying the chapter. I don't know, but our lending library is here and they may let you borrow a book, but you've got to have a book for this class, and sooner rather than later. You may be able to get your book off Amazon or some other textbook site. If you go to the bookstore, the benefit of that is that you do get to use financial aid, whereas if you buy from Amazon or something, of course you're paying out of pocket. But the bookstore is going to mark it up some, so it is a little bit more expensive because they have to pay for the cost of shipping and all, the employees in the bookstore, that has to be covered when they're selling books and everything. So anyway, just try your best to get a book however you can. There is a Facebook page for, I think it's STC used books or something like that you might could get. You might could get a book from a student on that website. And you'll see on your syllabus and lesson plan, the book is Medical Terminology Express, and it's the 2nd edition. And the biggest thing you need to pay attention to, inside the cover of your book, there is a silver scratch-off code. If that code has been used, if it's scratched off and it's been used, you're going to need another book, or you're going to have to buy a new code. That code can only be used one time. So if somebody tries to sell you a book and that code's been used, don't get the book. You need a new book with a new code that has not been used. F.A. Davis is the publisher for this book, so you could actually go to the F.A. Davis website and you could search Medical Terminology Express 2nd edition, and you could just buy the code from them instead of paying markup. I don't know how Amazon does and all that, but anyway. So instructions to set up Medical Language Lab. I'm going to open this. I'm hoping that that this is showing on your screen. I've got it to share, so maybe it is. Okay. You need to follow this step by step when you set up your medical language lab. And let me explain what that is. Of course, there's a book for this course, but you have assignments that are required for every chapter in a separate website, and it's Medical Language Lab through F.A. Davis. Again, that's the publishers of the book. So, number one, it tells you to create your account. So if you do not have your Medical Language Lab account with F.A. Davis, you're going to have to create that. This is where you're going to open up the front cover of your book, and you're going to create your account, and you're going to use that silver scratch-off code, okay? So the very first step under create your account is using the silver scratch-off code. Number two is to join a class. After you've created your account with the silver scratch-off, then you have to join my class that I specifically created for this class, your class for spring of 2021. Okay? The code to join the class is on the syllabus and it's on the lesson plan. Okay? It is not the same code as the silver scratch-off. So you need to follow this paper step by step. So number one, you're going to open up the inside cover of your book, and you're going to create that account using the silver scratch-off code. After you've done that, you're going to go to number two. You're going to join this particular class that I have set up, and that is where you're going to use the class code that is on your syllabus, and it's on the lesson plan part. If you can't find it in the syllabus, just go to the very beginning of the lesson plan, which is at the end of the syllabus, and you'll see the class code. Okay? You start using Medical Language Lab this week. So you can't wait 2 or 3 weeks to get this done, or you're going to be way behind. You're going to have a bunch of zeros. And, like I said, chapter 1 activities are this week and through next week. So you do have a little bit of time to get your book and your code, but you can't go beyond the first 2 weeks without a book. Okay? Because then we're going to be getting into the next chapter, and the first chapter of this book is probably the most important chapter in the whole thing, because if you don't understand the first chapter, you're going to be lost when you get into your chapters after that. Okay. Tips for completing the Medical Language Lab activities. There are some activities where you're going to have somebody speaking and talking. So you definitely need some earbuds or earphones so that you can hear the medical words that they are saying. These are not regular words. These are medical terms, and they can be really long, and you need to be able to hear them very well, because you're going to have to type. You're going to have to spell what you heard on some of the exercises. A lot of your activities are going to be done twice. That is because the first time is a practice mode, and then the second time is it will actually grade it. So there is one exception to that. At the very end of Medical Language Lab, the very last thing you're going to do at the end of the semester, you're going to take a post-test, which is kind of like a final over Medical Language Lab. That only has one attempt. There is no practice setting. And I will send out an email and remind y'all of that the closer we get. Now, that's a long time from now. So anyway, so again, almost every activity in Medical Language Lab, you have to do it 2 times for it to be considered complete and graded. So the first time is practice. It's actually going to show you what you did wrong, and then you're going to go in and you're going to do it again, and you're going to correct that. So there's really no reason for you to not have 100 on every single assignment in Medical Language Lab, because you get to see what you missed and do it again and make that correction. Okay. The only thing, again, that you only have one attempt on is the post-test at the very end of the semester. On the bottom of the instruction sheet, it shows you a link that you can go to watch a video about Medical Language Lab. And in your syllabus that we're going to go over in a few minutes, I have details about Medical Language Lab. Okay, so let me get out of this. And all right, chapter assignments, video lectures, and exams. I'm still on the left-hand side of your page. And if you want to, you can click along with me. But okay, so this course is set up by chapter. There are 13 chapters, okay? So under the left-hand side of the page, chapter exams, video lectures, and exams, you're going to have chapter 1. Everything for chapter 1 is under the chapter 1 heading, and it tells you bullet points, what you need to do, okay? It tells you to click this link to access the content for chapter 1 and everything else you need to do. And then you can see there's chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Everything you need is by chapter, except Medical Language Lab. We know that Medical Language Lab is a different thing that you're going to have to log into. Anyway, I'm going to click on chapter 1 and just let you see. So chapter 1, here's everything that you need to do for chapter 1. It's going to tell you how to set up another resource that FA Davis gives you called Plus Code Access. This is basically that silver scratch off again. Video lectures, every single chapter there are short video lectures, and if you open this folder that says chapter 1 video lectures, you can see that there are several little video lectures that you need to watch for chapter 1, okay? Let me go back, okay? Then every single chapter has PowerPoints for it. Do not just study the PowerPoints. You need to read your book, study your book, then you're going to come to whatever chapter, you're going to watch your video lectures, then you can do the PowerPoints. If you only study the PowerPoints and you don't study the book, you will not pass this class. So a lot of people are all about just PowerPoints, and that's not going to get it. You will not pass. So the PowerPoints are just an extra resource for people that like to kind of, I don't know, break it down a little bit, shorten it, but you still need to read your book and study your book. Okay, after you have studied your chapter, and let me say this, throughout your chapter, you have little exercises and activities that you can do throughout the chapter. Those are not graded. That's just for you to do extra practice. And when you set up your Plus Code Access, that is where you can, well, the answers are there, and that is where you can get a lot of your answers, and the answers are in the back of your book. So when you do the activities throughout the chapter in the book, you can check them at the back of the book. I'm not grading those. That is for you for extra practice, okay? Now, so once you have studied your chapter, you've done the little exercises throughout the chapter, checked your answers, you've done your Medical Language Lab for chapter 1, you have watched the video lectures for chapter 1, you had reviewed the PowerPoint for chapter 1, then you are ready to take the chapter 1 exam, okay? The chapter 1 exam is a one-shot deal. When you open that test, and it's all chapter exams, so chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 13, every chapter exam is one time. When you open the exam, you can't save it and come back to it. You have to finish it. And usually you get about a minute per question. So if you open it and you see the timer has 50 minutes, then you know you have about 50 questions. So you need to have reliable internet. You need to make sure that your computer is not going to update in the middle of the test. You need to make sure that there's no distractions, because the test will not be reopened. So if something happens and you're not able to finish your test, or I wouldn't start taking a test when it's fixing a storm, or if it's raining and you have bad internet that's fixing to go out. So another thing, our library is open, and our Student Success Lab is here, and you're welcome to come up here and use our internet and computers if you need to take a test. Now, the only thing about that is, or if you want to do anything, any of your online work, you can come up here. You have to wear a mask when you're in the building, but and we're not here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're going to try to get your work done, you'll have to come Monday through Thursday. And, they clean all the computers in the areas. So everything is sanitized to prevent COVID. But you can come up here Monday through Thursday. Anyway, now, so I'm going to go back and let's look at Chapter 2. Okay, Chapter 2 is set up exactly like Chapter 1. So you've got video lectures, and when you click on video lectures, it goes over the introduction, and it's got several little videos, and they're not long. Like you can see, this one's a little over 2 minutes. This one's a little over 2 minutes. This one's only 34 seconds. So anyway, every single chapter is set up the same way. So you're going to read your book, do the exercises for the chapter in the book. You're going to do medical language lab. You're going to do your video lectures, which is watching them. You're going to watch your PowerPoint, study that, and then and only then you're ready to take the Chapter 2 exam. Okay? The exam is the last thing that should be done for any chapter, because you don't need to take the exam if you're not ready, because you're not going to get a good grade. And we know that y'all need to get a good grade, right? Okay, so I'm going to go over to discussion boards on the left-hand side of our course. All right, we already said that you have a student introduction that you have to do. That is considered a discussion board, but that's the one you don't have to do any replies on. Then you have 5 other discussion boards, 5. And you can't do all these all at one time. They'll be opened along and along. But whenever you do each discussion board, it is very important that you follow the rules and requirements for completing the discussion board, okay? You can get 100 points on every discussion board. 100. That's 5 100s if you read and you do what you're supposed to do. Now, in the syllabus that we're going to look at in a few minutes, it is very detailed how you do the discussion board. Okay? You need to read that and follow it to the T whenever you're doing your discussion board. And I will go over that when we go over the syllabus in just a minute, okay? But you have 5 discussion boards. That's the minimum that TCSG requires for us to put in our class. So that's why there's 5 of them. All the questions are related to healthcare, medical terminology, things like that. So, if you were coming to class and we were having face-to-face class, we would talk to each other during class. Like y'all would talk, I would talk, we would talk to each other. But since this is an online class, we have to show that y'all are interacting and talking to each other. So that's why we have discussion boards. So when you do your discussion boards, make sure before you post anything that you read the syllabus and you have done what it says before you submit it, because you don't want to get a 0 or a 50 or something like that, okay? My grade, if you click on my grade, at the very top, it says overall average, and then under it, it has all of your upcoming assignments. The good thing about this is that it calculates your average continuously for you. So every assignment that is graded, as it gets graded and put in the grade book, it keeps up with your average. So you always know what your average is. Some things will automatically put in the grade book, but some things I have to put in the grade book. So if you don't see a grade, it's just because you either haven't done it yet or I haven't posted the grade yet. So anyway, but it does keep your overall average for you. And another thing you can see is it says the pledge, acknowledgement requirement, student introduction. If you see a dash over there for the grade, then you know that it hasn't been done. So you need to get on that if you're missing if you see a dash for something, especially, well, anything, okay? All right, let's see here. I want to go back up to the syllabus and lesson plan. And hold on one second. I'm fixing to share my screen. I'm going to share a different screen that has the syllabus and lesson plan on it, because you need to pay attention to this. And let me share. Oh my gosh. Hold on one second. Stop sharing. Share screen. It's supposed to share this. Share. Okay, here we go. So y'all should be able to see the syllabus for this class, and it's gonna it should scroll as I scroll on my screen. So obviously this is the online medical terminology class. We meet for 16 weeks through Blackboard, and here's my contact information again. And email is how you need to get in touch with me. That's the best way to get me. Under your required text, it tells you the name of the book, and it also gives you the ISBN number for the book in case you wanted to buy it online. But now in the yellow highlight, you can see that I put, make sure it has a new code inside that front cover under the silver scratch off. If the silver scratch off has been used, you're going to have to get a whole new book, or just go online and try to find the code, okay? Required supplies and software. I already said Firefox, Chrome is good. Do not use Internet Explorer. I will say this. There are some people that have MacBooks, and MacBooks do not like Blackboard for some reason. I don't know what it is. So if you're having trouble and you're using a MacBook with Medical Language Lab or anything in Blackboard, you may have to use a different computer or something instead of a MacBook. Anyway, and that's not just for this class. That's for anything online. MacBooks give us a big old problem for some reason. Okay, security. You're not really supposed to share your logon information, and you'll see that Southeastern Tech frequently will have you change your password, and I hate that. It drives me crazy, but I know it's for our protection so that people can't get a hold of your passwords and be able to get your information. But you're going to see frequently that you have to change your passwords. Okay, the content that we're going to cover, you are going to learn how to build medical terms and how to break them down. And this class is a lot of memorization. So if you're a person who likes to memorize things, this is your class, because this is the one where you have to, basically, you're going to learn a new language. So if you're not bilingual, you're going to be bilingual when you finish, because you're going to be able to speak medical terminology, okay? Too bad it's not actual language, but it is very helpful when you get into your, especially your nursing program or any of the other health programs. So I'm just going to scroll through this because it's basic information that you can read. Okay, let's look at the student requirements. So listen, this semester started on a Monday, okay? So I run everything Monday to Monday. Now, your other classes may do every Wednesday, okay? So you've got to get in your head, this class runs from Monday to Monday. So every Monday night at 11:59 p.m., that is when assignments are typically due, okay? So just know that. Put it in your phone if you need a reminder or whatever. But every Monday at 11:59, okay? you have to have a 70 average to pass this class. And you have to have a 70 average to take the final. So on the chapter exams, chapter 1, chapter 2, you're going to have 13 different tests, 13 chapters. After all of those 13 grades are averaged together, you have to have a 70 test average to take the final. If you have a 69.99999, we do not round that up. That is a 69.999. It is not a 70, and you will not be able to take the final. This happens every semester. We have students that have like a 60, a 69, whatever, and maybe they didn't do their discussion boards. Maybe they didn't study like they were supposed to. Maybe they didn't do their medical language lab. I don't know, but they end up not passing the class because we don't round up. And you will see that's a common thing in your health classes. We do not round up. So go ahead and shoot for 100. Okay, but definitely shoot for a 70, not a 69.99999. Okay, we don't drop grades, so you're gonna every grade you get, you earned it. So medical language lab. Okay, here is a detailed explanation about medical language lab. Do not forget that you are supposed to follow the instructions to set it up. Once you get it set up and once you've joined this class, the right class, then you can start working in your medical language lab. Okay, medical language lab, again, you've got 13 chapters worth of assignments to do, 13, and you have multiple assignments in each chapter, multiple. And we know that you're going to do everything twice, right? Because we already said, the first attempt is your practice, and you're going to get to see what did you do wrong, and then you're going to do it again, and it's going to actually grade it and put it in the medical language lab grade book. Okay, now medical language lab is worth 25% of your course average. 25%. So if you do not do your medical language lab like you're supposed to, or if you don't do it at all and you start racking up a bunch of zeros, at the end of the semester, when I put in the medical language lab grade, your average is going to plummet. It's going to go. I had a couple of people last semester that they were passing the class and doing pretty good until we pulled medical language lab grades, and they had not bothered to do a lot of their work, and they got a pile of zeros, and they went from B's to D's or B's to F's. I mean, like, it was ugly. So please do your medical language lab every week as it goes chapter by chapter. Okay, every week. Do not get behind, because you will get zeros for what is not done. And if you do it the first time, the practice, but you don't do it the second time where it actually grades it and shows that you're complete, then you're going to get a zero for that. So even if you did it once in the practice, you're not going to get credit for that. You have to do it twice, and it has to be graded to get credit. Okay, and when you get in medical language lab and you start playing around with it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, there are some tips for a medical language lab. All right. Number one, there's an assignment in medical language lab called read. Okay, and it is not graded. This is the audio version of the book. So if you do not want to read your book, if you want it read to you, this is just a good resource for you. But let me tell you, it reads it like a turtle, like a sleepy turtle. And if you're a fast reader, or if you could read it and study it faster, you're going to lose your mind with this resource. But some people actually love the audio book. So, whatever works for you, but it's not graded. Number two, under Medical Language Lab, there is an assignment called Watch. It is also not graded. This is just an overview of the chapter, these are those little videos, okay? But I already took these videos and I put them in Blackboard under each chapter for you. So you can watch them in the Blackboard under the chapter, or you can watch them in Medical Language Lab. It's the same videos in both places. But I wanted to go ahead and bring them into the Blackboard class so that you had them right there at your fingertips and you didn't have to log into a different web source. Okay? Medical Language Lab assignment number 3. Sorry, my throat's dry. Here we start with our graded assignments, okay? There's a assignment called critical listening. It is graded. You will listen to audio clips, and then you have to answer questions about what you heard. So you're going to have to listen, and this is when you need your earbuds or earphones or AirPods or whatever you got, okay? Number 4 is graded. This is a button called response. It is, again, audio clips, and then you're going to answer questions that go with the clips. Number 5 is the last of your graded, and it's called practice. These you have to do twice. These are the big ones that you have to do twice. And you're going to have, like there's drag and drop where you have to build medical words. There's all kinds of different activities under the practice. Make sure that that you do these twice, okay? So you may want to print this syllabus and pull it out when you're doing your medical language lab, okay? So anyway, the post-test under please note, it reminds you that the post-test, which is at the very end of this semester, at the very end of medical language lab, after we've done all 13 chapters, the post-test is only one attempt. There is no practice for that. So I will remind you of that when we get closer. Okay? Here in red, it says this is the required class ID. This is what you have to put in on number 2 of the instructions. So remember, on the medical language lab instructions to get it set up, number 1, that's when you do the stuff in the front cover of your book and you're using the silver scratch off in the front cover of your book. Number 2 on the instructions says you have to join a class. This is the ID for this class. This one right here. If you do not join a class, all the work you do in medical language lab, I cannot see it in the grade book, and that means you will be getting zeros. So last semester, every semester, I have a student that does not read their instructions all the way through. They create their account, they're working away doing medical language lab, and 4 or 5 chapters in, you know, they realize, oh crap, I have not, you know, or I realize, I'm like, hey, I don't see any of your work in medical language lab. And they're like, well, I've been doing it. Well, they never joined the class, so I can't see their grades. Well, guess what? They've got zeros until that chapter, through chapter 4, 5, 10, wherever we figure out the problem. So be absolutely sure that you do steps 1 and 2 on your instructions. But this is the ID that you will use to join this class, okay? Then we get to discussion boards. All right. We already said you have your student introduction discussion board, which is a basic, simple discussion board. It doesn't really fall under this heading. That is where you're just going to go in, type a little something about yourself, what program you're coming for. You do not have to reply, or it doesn't have to be a certain amount of words or any of that. You have 5 other discussion boards that are required. Before you type one thing in a discussion board, you need to read this every single week so that you do it correctly, because it is very detailed. And if you don't follow these rules, then you're not going to get 100. If you don't get 100, this is how it breaks down. You can get 100, 75, 50, or even a 0. And your discussion boards count for 5% of your average. So if you do what you're supposed to do, that can bring you up. If you're sitting at an 88, 89, and you need an A, and when your discussion boards go in, it can bring you up. If you're sitting at a 69, it can bring you up, okay? So you definitely need to read this every time before you start a discussion board, okay? You're going to have to do 3 comments on every discussion board. The first one is your initial post where you answer whatever I'm asking you, okay? And you have to use a reference from your medical terminology book, and it has to include your page number that you got that on. If you do not do that, if you don't include your page number, you get an automatic 0 for the whole discussion board. So it is very important that you listen and you read this every time, okay? You don't want zeros, all right? Another thing another thing about the initial post when you read, your initial post has to be 200 words minimum, and your replies have to be 100 words each. When you do your reply, you don't need to put anything from the book. The only time you have to put your book reference with the page number is on the initial post, okay? But this is another little trick, a tip that I'm going to tell you. Not a trick, it's a tip, okay? So if you wanted to go ahead and do a discussion board today, okay, I'm going to open it up as soon as I get through with this video, okay? Let's say that you get your first discussion board and you answer your initial post and it's 200 words and I got a reference from the book and my page number. You cannot turn around and do your 2 replies on that same day. You have to wait at least till tomorrow to do your replies. Now, you can do both replies on the same day. You can do them both tomorrow, but you cannot do them. You can't sit down and do the initial post and all the replies on the same day. You will only get credit for the initial post. So that is important, okay? And there's only 5 discussion boards. So anyway, here are the dates and times for each discussion board when they're due. So you can see they're spaced out. They kind of, the first discussion board, we don't even do it till next week. And then it's like every other week to give you a break. So anyway, here's the dates. And we also have the COVID information on the syllabus. And this is part of that COVID requirement that you have to do in the class. Online attendance, this is important. We know that I see a typo and I'm going to have to correct that. Right here it says all tests and assignments are due on Tuesdays. I will change that and put a new syllabus out there for y'all. Everything is due on Mondays, not Tuesdays, Mondays, okay? The final exam, oh my gosh, that didn't get changed either. I thought I updated that. Don't look at this. I'll have to update that too. Oh, no, that is right. That is right. Ugh, I cannot believe it's already after January. Anyway, they are due Thursday, April 29th. This is correct. That's right. Okay, so listen, you're going to have the medical language post-test, which is like a final for medical language, and then you're going to have a completely separate final in Blackboard that goes over all 13 chapters, okay? Both of those have to be done by Thursday, April 29th at 11:59. This is the one exception to the Monday rule because you have to have it done on Thursday the 29th. I will email y'all and remind you when we get closer to this so that it goes off in your head that this is due on Thursday and not Monday. This is why it's very important that you check your emails, because I will send out stuff to your Southeastern Tech email that you need to know, okay? All right, if you have any kind of disability or you think you need accommodations, or if you're having any pregnancy complications, you can contact these ladies here, depending on what campus you're closer to, and then we can try to work out something for you to be able to complete this program and be successful. The withdrawal procedure, I think it's like mid-March for this semester, but anyway, there comes a time that you can there's a date in the semester that you cannot withdraw past that date. So you can check with admissions to see when the withdrawal date is. And basically, that is where you would get a W on your transcript. And it won't affect your grade point average, but it may mess up your financial aid. So you might want to check with financial aid and admissions before you decide to withdraw from any class, not just this class, and your teacher. Okay, proctored event. We know that this class is online. Okay. Usually once a semester, we will have y'all come in and take a test in person. Right now, that's kind of up in the air. Pretty sure this semester your final exam is going to be the proctored, and you're just going to take it online like regular because the COVID cases are going up. And right now, there's so many people in this class, I don't know how we would get everybody in to take a test. So for now, the proctored event is going to just be online like regular. There is a chance that we may have it where you have to come in person, but I'm going to try to keep it online if at all possible. And I'll let you know well in advance if you need to come in to take the test so you can make arrangements. But for right now, it's online. Makeup guidelines, there are no makeups in this class. Every assignment is open for at least 7 days. At least 7 days. That gives you a whole week to get your stuff done. Okay? So if you do not have your stuff done by the deadline that we're going to look at coming up soon on the lesson plan, you get a 0. Period. There is one exception. So like if you're in the hospital with COVID, if you got a child, your mom, your dad's in the hospital with COVID, you have a death in your immediate family, something major that you can give me documentation to prove. So, obviously if your child's in the hospital, you can send me some information to show that, okay? Then I can work with you to give you a little tiny extension. But it's a one-time thing. It's not on and on. So just know that as a general rule, there's no makeups. If you don't do the work on time, you get a 0, period. Don't email me and ask me unless it is some kind of emergency or hospitalization of immediate family, not your brother's ex-wife's mama or some whatever like that. Okay. Academic dishonesty, you can read that. Statement of non-discrimination. These other things are just standard things that are on all the syllabi for the whole school. And then we get to a very important section called the grading policy. This is how your grade is calculated, okay? Your chapter exams are 50% of your whole average. So that means the chapter 1 test, the chapter 2 test, chapter 3, 4, 5, 6. You have a test for every single chapter. So you're going to have 13 chapter exams because there's 13 chapters, okay? Your medical language lab grade is 25% of your whole average. That is why you need to do it, and that is easy. You should have nothing but hundreds in medical language lab because pretty much everything you get to do twice, pretty much. And if you don't have 100, you should at least have an A, okay? Your discussion boards are 5% of your average, and then the final exam is going to be 20%. Your final exam is comprehensive over all 13 chapters, so that is why it's important that you learn the material as you go so that at the end, when you take the final, you have a good grade. And don't forget, you have to have a 70 chapter exam average to take the final. So if you have a 65 average of your 13 chapter exams, you're not going to be able to take the final, and you actually will get a 0 for the final. So you want to have a chance to take the final, okay? Let me say this. Throughout the semester, there's 2 times that I'm going to offer bonus points, and I will send out an email when the bonus is open. I will email and post an announcement. Okay, one of them is a blood drive. Okay, so I will email you about a blood drive, and we also take donations for local animal shelters or either SOAPS, which is the Sweet Onion Animal Protection Society here in Toombs County. So I will email you and send announcements whenever the blood drive stuff opens, and I will give you details about that because there's certain things you have to do. And with the pet donations, I will tell you what to do about that as well. So right now we aren't having those bonuses. It will be coming soon, and you'll be able to get up to, well, and the points, what we do is the bonus points can go on any test but the final. So if you bomb a test, if you make like a 60 on a test and you do bonus points, then I will put those on your lowest test grade because that's going to help you the most. And it cannot go on your final, but it can go, obviously on the low test and bring you up. And so that's a win for you, and it's a win for the animals, and it's a win for anybody that's needing blood products. Okay. All right, let's get to the lesson plan. Okay, this is the lesson plan is at the end of the syllabus, and it goes week by week. Okay, we've already said we have 16 weeks in this semester. So I have it laid out week by week. Week 1 started yesterday, January 11th, and it will end next Monday, the 18th. We know that we run Monday to Monday in this class. So next Monday at 11:59 p.m. is when week 1 is done. If you are missing something, you haven't done it, you are going to get zeros or possibly dropped from this class. So right here, it tells you chapter 1, I've already said we're going to cover chapter 1 this week and next week. So chapter 1 exam and the chapter 1 medical language lab won't really be due until the end of week 2, okay? But these other things have to be done. Like you have to go in there and do your everything under the Getting Started tab in the class, your pledge acknowledgement, do your little introduction, and you also need to get your medical language lab set up this week, or as soon as you get your new book with your code, okay? And again, this red down here, this is the code to join this class. This is not to be used in place of the silver scratch off under the that was in the front cover, okay? So and it goes through and tells you to read and study chapter 1, complete the activities throughout the chapters. Remember, that has the answers are at the back of the book. You're going to do your medical language lab assignments, and then you have to complete your chapter exam. And then you just scroll over and we get to week 2. Well, guess what? Week 2 is the 18th through the 25th. We are continuing chapter 1. And the only thing really new about this week is that this is when that first discussion board. So before you touch that discussion board, you get your syllabus out and you read the requirements for the discussion board. Now, let me tell you one more thing about discussion boards. Whenever you post, if you type something in that discussion board and you submit it, you cannot delete it and you cannot edit it. So what you put, it's there. Okay, I can delete it, but I'm not going to. Okay, what you put is there. So I will say this. We know that the discussion board is going to open on the 18th and it's going to close on the 25th for discussion board 1, okay? And let's say that your first discussion board on your initial post, you forgot to put the page number. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get a 0. No, you're not. If you go in, you can reply. You can make another post or reply to yourself. And you can tell me, you can put your reference in and you can put the page number and submit that. And then I will see it when I'm grading and I'll know that you just accidentally left it off. Okay, as long as that is done before the discussion board closes, I will give you full credit because you realize that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Okay, I will do that. Or if you realize that your first post was not 200 words and you go back in and you redo it and you with it before the deadline, if you make it your 200 word minimum with the reference from the book and the page number, I'll give you credit. Okay, but you cannot edit or delete your post, so you would have to do a whole new post. Okay, so I'll do that for you. But I do not reopen discussion boards. Once they're closed, they are closed, period. All right, and then you can just see it goes week by week, until we get to the very end. Until we get to the very end. Hello, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Right here. Week 16. Okay. This week is special because it's going to end on Thursday, not a Monday. It's going to end on Thursday, April 29th at 11:59. So you're going to have to take your post-test and medical language lab. You only get one attempt for that. And then you have to take the final exam in Blackboard. These are two separate exams. Okay. I had some people last semester not paying attention, not checking their email, and they took one or the other, but they didn't take both, so they got zeros. So please don't be that person. Please don't be that person. Okay, so I am I think I'm done. Let me you can email me if you have questions. I know this welcome video has been a little bit long, but I wanted to give it to y'all so that you weren't maybe totally lost with everything. And maybe I went ahead and answered some questions. I'll leave this video up the whole time. That way, if you want to fast forward through, you might could answer the question by watching the video again. I want everybody to do well. I want you to get A's. I would love everybody to come out of here with 100 average. That would be fantastic. I don't know if that'll happen. Never had that happen, but just let me know if you need anything, and remember to check your email at least Mondays and Thursdays, and then you can email me over the weekend if you have any questions. But if you don't have your book or you don't have your silver code, and this is what the book looks like. This is what your book should look like when you get it. And you can see on the inside cover, this is where it tells you how to set up, right here. It tells you how to set up your medical language lab account. And right here is your silver scratch off to get you started. Then you're going to use the other code to join the class. All right? If you don't follow those instructions, you're going to be in a mess. So anyway, that's it. And just let me know if you need anything. And that's it. Thank you.